You have been listening to Burncast, a podcast spreading the flames about the art, culture, and community of Burning Man. For more information, please visit our website, burncast.net. To contact us, please call the Burncast hotline at 206-350-1416.
Hey folks, burncasting is a lot of work. Give some love, give a shout out. Go to the site, leave a message, tell the bomb what you think of this episode, past episodes, ideas you have for interviews in the future. You know, Burncast, it's just like on the playa. It means more with your participation.
I see thousands of downloads going by every month. I know you're listening. I want to hear from you.
So, coming up in this next segment, Crunchy is going to talk about the televised arrest of her husband, Maddie, on Dateline's To Catch a Predator series, filmed in Long Beach, California, and the timing of his resignation from the band and the band's reaction to that televised episode. Also, she tells us where she is personally in regards to her relationship with Maddie and her marriage, and also with her future involvement with Mutator, the band.
Okay, let's listen.
Talking about Mutator, right now it's hard to not talk about what happened with Maddie.
It's understandable.
When we first approached you, there's a lot you couldn't say because the case was pending.
Still pending. So much of what happened has truly been in waves. First there was the arrest. And quite frankly, we didn't think that they could air somebody's face when they haven't had their day in court. And obviously, Dateline does that. The court of public opinion is pretty serious. And so much of what we've encountered, it's been pretty eye-opening for me just to learn about different addictions and the differences in levels of registered sex offenders and really the ins and outs of the law. There's so much more to it than just seeing him walk into a house and seeing the chats. There still is more involving what photos were sent, what the profiles actually were, and in the context of what I call a presumption of justice. When it comes to addiction, truly addiction isn't just about alcohol. It's not just about drugs. It's not just about an adult being addicted to pornography. It's not just about adult men who are addicted to a fantasy, sexual fantasy life. There are always going to be people who will infer exactly that he's guilty, this is it, he did it. That they don't want anything resembling an excuse or an explanation or a backstory. They don't care. What I find more interesting is the people who have already reached out, not just to Maddie, but also to me, and understanding that it is very lonely and it is very dark. What I find so fascinating about the whole issue is simply that the vigilantism that comes up. So you have whole neighborhoods who are like, we don't want a registered sex offender in our neighborhood. Or you have these groups that call businesses of anybody who's a registered sex offender to try to get them fired. What they don't realize is they're absolutely causing more harm than good. So many of these guys, they're in programs, they're getting help. The police departments hate the vigilantism because when you lose your job and you lose your health insurance and you lose your home and you can't live anywhere, you become homeless. And the only legal thing that a registered offender, Maddie's case, he didn't go to jail and his is an attempt. There's no evidence of anything physical he did. He showed up and is unfortunately on national television. But so many of these guys who actually have, their family friends, they've been convicted of being different levels of a registered offender. When they're homeless, they disappear. In Chris Hansen's book, there's actually a whole chapter about how these guys, we need to get them back on their feet enough so that we can keep an eye on them and they're actually productive members of society and not hiding, The most interesting comment I got was from a dear friend who was a daily heroin user who basically said, I understand being self-destructive, throwing away everything when he was doing heroin. And he's like, when you're outside of it, all you want is for people to give you a second chance.
you knew about the arrest. You didn't really think they'd be able to air it until he went to court.
Yeah.
So the sudden appearance of it on television without the other band members knowing was...
It was shocking to everyone. I think on that subject, we made the decision not to tell everyone because we truly... like I said, there's so much about the evidence that if we really needed to fight that we probably could have. And then there's so much about the evidence that it doesn't matter. It's like, he did this. He talked to somebody on the internet and he showed up. We found out that they were going to air it the day of and a few hours before the airing. But we didn't even know he would be on it. They just said the Long Beach episode would be on this night. And at that point, do we call 40 people and try to explain what happened, or do we wait to see? Because kind of all along, we were hoping to go through the legal process and then let everyone know, because he would have stepped down pretty much either way. But it was to the type of thing where there was still a lot of details that some of them I didn't know, but some of them I knew, and that I think were worth questioning, that we were gonna, at that point, probably try to fight this. And in a way, I guess they call it plausible deniability. You know, it was something so personal. We had already gone through a few months where it hadn't gotten out into the public, that I think we both wanted to tell everybody after we knew more about what the legal outcome would be. And then with it airing like it did, there's the court of public opinion. There's no way he'd ever get a fair trial anyway. And, you know, you can tell someone, well, they sent a completely different picture and the profile was different. I mean, there's so much that you could say that that a lot of these guys, you know, probably had a similar experience, but it's like, it kind of doesn't matter, because they did have these chats, no matter how they started, no matter if there were discrepancies in age. It's like, it doesn't matter at that point. And he knew he needed help, and he's getting it. In a weird way, it did kind of protect the band by not knowing, because they were innocent. They truly had nothing to do with it. And this was a personal problem that he had to go through. So it was a judgment call. Looking back, I don't know if we made the right one. It's like, no, as much as I would give anything save my soul to have a time machine to go back, and I know Maddie would definitely, it's kind of like, at that point, it happened and here's where we are. You know, This was a decision that we made, that we truly thought that we would have the opportunity to tell them why he was stepping down and that he needed to go in for an addiction, you know, to try to recover himself and to try to heal. And it didn't happen that way. We didn't have the opportunity.
There is a lot of chatter on Tribe.
Of course.
I've seen that you've tried to talk to people and respond to some people on there.
Yeah. So I've tried to talk to some people on Tribe about it, and what I'm finding is a lot of the people who absolutely, any dialogue you have is when it's considered an excuse, or somebody, you know, people have said, why are you, you know, excusing his behavior? I'm not at all. I'm just saying they have an agenda. So many people who have been the victims of this abuse, which my heart goes out to anybody who's had to go through this, and they have my love and support, but don't use that as the excuse to pigeonhole every single man who's a sex addict as being a pedophile. The people who are so negative and so judgmental about it, oftentimes they've been the victims of it themselves, you know, and a lot of them have worked really hard to work through it. And when something like this happens in your community, it brings it all up again. And it's very painful, and they have every right to be upset. But I think sometimes their anger is directed, you know, it makes them feel better, whereas it's not really dealing with the issue at hand, you know, of a specific person's problem.
When something bad like this happens, it's really interesting to see how people respond.
Yeah.
Would you rather have someone, like you say, disappear into the fabric of society where you don't know where they're at or what they're doing, or would you rather be part of the, you know, the support that helps that person find their way and be able to keep tabs on them and make sure that they're staying on the straight and narrow?
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for us to look at ways that a community can be supportive to its members, and not just when they've got some fantastic art project going.
Yeah.
Or, when everything's going great. Of course everyone wants to hang out with you when everything's going great.
Yep.
But when things are down and out,
you really find out who your friends are.
Exactly.
And you really find out what your community is about, Like I said, it's been really nice to see people expressing frustration and pain and anger while at the same time express empathy for the friends and to me and to our families, and just say, hey, no matter what, if it was my kid, if it was my dad, if it was my brother, I would hope that they would get the help they need, And there's a lot of people who have said that to me, just, I hope he gets the help he needs. I don't want to be around him, but which is great. It's like, but I hope he figures it out. And that's it. And that's a beautiful thing. What this whole situation has brought out with the community is a lot of people reassessing their own addiction, whatever that might be. A lot of people expressing their own past pain and hurt with abuse, which is horribly rampant. A lot of people reassessing how safe they are. Mm-hmm. Are there a lot of women who maybe do get, I know somebody brought up a lot of date rape issues on Tribe when there was a quote unquote predatory person going to a lot of campouts, and it was brought up, and man, everybody was like, well, wait, were you flirting with him and then you were totally drunk, or you dropped acid that night? We're not judging either party, but maybe reassess that the next time you have a buddy or you are safe about this, Mm-hmm. Especially at Burning Man. Burning Man is this amazing creative place, but it's not utopia. Mm-hmm. And every single year, a couple of weeks after the burn, the stories come up about, especially on the Burning Women Tribe, about, oh yeah, you know what, I do kind of feel like I was date raped, or yeah, you know what, somebody did dose me, had a good acid trip, but somebody dosed me, and if I wasn't with my friends, I probably would have been violated. Mm-hmm. A lot of this, it's the reality that you have to face, and it's the people who are living in either a utopian view of Burning Man, or let's say of the creative community that many people happen to go to Burning Man, because it's not just about Burning Man. There's a lot of people who don't go to Burning Man in LA who still go to, whether it be Space Island or whether it be, the different parties or the different campouts, Singularity, and all of these amazing Zara, these incredible campouts that happens. The situations still come up. Are you safe? Who's around you? Are you aware of your surroundings? And I think it's easy to get lost in our community. It's easy to think that it is all the way we want it to be.
Some people have asked, like, wow, how can you stand by Maddie after everything that's happened? Mm-hmm. And then, the other question is, well, what about Mutator? I mean, isn't it hard to stay with the band that was?
Honestly, no. The band has always been very separate from. It was something I shared with him, but I love doing it anyway. And anyone who knows my background, I've been working with bands since I was like 16, actually, professionally since I was 18. So the band are my friends. Like I said, if the band ended tomorrow, I know we'd all still be in touch. And the first part of the question, which is, well, how can I stay with him and stand by him? Like I said, when you're friends with someone for 15 years, it's very easy when they need help to help them. And right now I'm just kind of, as a human being, for my own happiness, I need to know he'll be okay. I need to know he's getting help. I need to know that every day he's aware of what he's done and he is spending the rest of his life to make amends for it. I need to know that. And it's not that I have any other ulterior motives. When you care about somebody, you want to know that they're figuring it out, that they've had their epiphany, that they're on the right path. And as far as our marriage, that's between us. Whether we stay together or split up, neither of us knows at this point. All I know is for right now, like I said, it's not that I need to be there with him, it's that it will give me great pleasure to see somebody change their life around. How often do you have the opportunity to help somebody literally go from a suicidal moment, of literally dying and throwing everything away to saying, I want to live and I want to be a good person. So for right now, it's very important to me to know that somebody who has been there for me as a dear friend, probably my best friend, for 15 years is a long time. And he's been there for me. And he's totally been there for me in ways, not just as my husband and my partner, but as my friend. I've gone through a lot in my own life, and he was always the first person I could talk to about this. And I think the empathy, for me to truly absorb and appreciate what he must have been going through to have thrown away everything in his life. That must have been a horrible place. That must have been horribly dark and sad and depressing and just a horrible place. And the fact that he couldn't tell anybody with all of these friends around him, I'm sorry that anybody would have to be in that horrible place. And he's not there anymore, which is a beautiful thing. That's part of life, is making your mistake, standing up and saying, I really fucked up. Now this is what I'm going to do to make amends for it. So for right now, that's kind of where I'm at. I want to know he'll be okay and he's doing the right thing, which I think he is now. And then, whatever happens with the two of us, we'll be friends either way, whether we stay together as a married couple or whether we're best friends. And I still don't know exactly what I want. And so I just want some time to go by, and figure out what I want, what I can get at this point, whether it's just friends or whether it is as a husband, I don't know. And that'll be between us, that'll be very private. But as far as the band goes, I see it very separate. Music has always been very businesslike with me. It's my passion. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky enough to have found something that gives me my life reason and happiness and make it my business. Mm-hmm. And obviously I still have a day job with a record label, but as far as the band goes, I love it, And to be able to do that, to do something you love and make it your work is wonderfully fulfilling.
Business like a family business. Ain't no business like a family business. Ain't no business like a family business.
You have been listening to Burncast, a podcast spreading the flames about the art, culture, and community of Burning Man. For more information, please visit our website, burncast.net. To contact us, please call the Burncast hotline at 206-350-1416 or click on the MyChingo audio recorder embedded at our website. A very special thanks to Lecter of NoSpectators.com for hosting these podcasts.